Yo, what's going on, guys? And we're going to be doing my Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Dallas Mavericks NBA Conference, Western Conference Finals. So before we do this, how it goes, we'll start the first 5 minutes. We'll do the Timberwolves next 5 minutes. We'll do the Dallas Mavericks in the final 5 minutes. We'll do just talking who I think will win and how the team that I think will lose could still win this and how many games will happen. So before we start, let me hear in the comments, who do you think will win and how many games and why? Now, hit that like and subscribe button and let's get to it. If you guys just want to skip to the end, there are timestamps for which team and, everything. Let's go. I've said it before. Tim Connelly put all the chips on black and their roulette table is spinning. And we still don't know how his odds are. But the Timberwolves are in the conference finals. They're going against two Hall of Famers. Now, you arguably could say Timberwolves might have two Hall of Famers or three on their team. How you view the team. Now, look, I will say I am a Timberwolves, Wizards, Magic fan. Yes, I'm a masochist. I was born in St. Louis Park, lived there till I was 5. Then I lived in Orlando, Greater Orlando, till I was like 9. And then from 9 to 19, I lived in Maryland. So now I live in Miami, and I went to college in Kansas. Yeah, I know, wild man. So I have this fandom, and I work as a NBA reporter now. So kind of like it's weird when you get into the business, your fandom goes away. You kind of just enjoy basketball for like what it is, and you just want to see. It's weird. So for me watching this, I think the Timberwolves, yes, we have the size going against Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. I'm buying Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns there because we got the size. But what is the thing that we got to be scared of? The perimeter. All right. If you're a Timberwolves fan, look, the perimeter. We've done a good job. We have Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. All right. Mike Conley. We have the guys to take care of Kyrie, Luka. But the thing is, yes, we just went against Nikola Jokic. But Nikola Jokic, I'm not going to sit here and say Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. or Aaron Gordon are Hall of Fame players. No. When you have a Kyrie Irving, a bona fide Hall of Famer who has won a title. Now you're going against Luka, who is a perennial MVP. That's competition that the Timberwolves have not faced. And that's, as a Timberwolves, perspective, I think that's the biggest challenge they haven't faced. And they're facing a team that is equipped to go against the mold. So the Nuggets don't have a small ball guy, and it's not like they're going to take Jokic off the floor in crucial minutes. Same thing before that. You knew that the Timberwolves have not faced anybody that PJ Washington can be the small ball 5. They can put out Maxi Kleber, and they can put out Josh Green, and then they can have Luka and Kyrie. So for the Timberwolves, how do they match up there against that? And I think that's what the Timberwolves are equipped. They have Naz Reid. Naz Reid is kind of this X factor. Where they've been able, when Rudy Gobert fouled out, they put in Naz Reid. And Naz Reid can play inside, outside. He has this like guard skills almost for how big he is. And I really think he is one of the biggest reasons why I think the Timberwolves might have the edge here, because whatever counter look the Mavericks are going to give the Timberwolves, Chris Finch, first off, is probably one of the best coaches in the NBA. I love Chris Finch. Besides that, I think this team is so versatile. So when you look at what we've been running the playoffs so far, the guys that we've been duking it out, Edwards, Gobert, McDaniels, Towns, and Conley's the starting lineup. We run this. Nickeil Alexander really has stepped up as the 6th man in the postseason because he comes in for Edwards or Conley, and even sometimes for McDaniels, depending on what the lineup is. But we have Kyle Anderson, who if they go small, so that's the whole thing. Let's say they do that PJ Washington small ball look. Okay, we'll take out Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. We put out Naz Reid. We put out Kyle Anderson. We still have Jaden McDaniels. All right, we still have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. We still have Anthony Edwards. We still have Mike Conley. And the whole thing is, we don't have a backup point guard. Well, our two facilitators, Edwards and obviously our point guard, Mike Conley, are fantastic facilitators. But besides that, let's say if one of them's having a bad game or something happens that they weren't able to play, people don't realize we still have Monte Morris, who's a fantastic point guard, all right, in his own right. We still have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's a decent secondary facilitator. Karl-Anthony Towns can facilitate a little bit out the post. Kyle Anderson's a point forward, defensive pass first point forward. So it's like not like Monte Morris is playing a ton of minutes. It's just we have the reinforcements at every level. Like, if something got for free to happen, we still have Jordan McLaughlin, Luka Garza, and TJ Warren as like deep subs behind our deep subs, which are Kyle Anderson and Monte Morris. So for me, I just think at every level, we're just playing as a complete unit. This is a team that we have literally 6 double-digit scores, and one of those is a 30-point score in Anthony Edwards. And Karl-Anthony Towns in his own right is just massive. So how they're not going to have Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively on the floor at the same time. So how are they going to stop Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns? They're going to try to do that PJ Washington stuff. And if they do the PJ Washington small ball look, we go with Naz Reid. And I just don't see a world where they can throw us a look that will confuse the Timberwolves. All right, the Mavericks. I said it before. The Mavericks have 2 bona fide Hall of Famers. Luka Dončić, a perennial MVP in the prime of his career. That guy arguably might go down with Nikola Jokic and Larry Bird as the 3 greatest white dudes to ever touch a basketball. Enough said. Kyrie Irving is probably the greatest ball handler, most gifted dribbler, most clutch player we've seen in the modern history of the NBA in the 21st century. There's nothing you can defend. There's no scouting report for that. The whole thing, the Kobe Black Mamba mentality, the Michael Jordan, all that aura that follows those players, they have 2 dudes that arguably are capable of doing that are capable of rising to that level. Obviously, Anthony Edwards is on his own right there, but he's still young. And I know Luka Dončić is young, but it's that. And I know the whole thing is what the Mavs are going to try to do is, we talked about it during the Timberwolves thing, is they're going to try the small ball look to throw them off. So the guys that they've been running is a starting lineup of Dončić, Irving, PJ, Derek Jones Jr., and Daniel Gafford. 6-man is like Derek Lively. Then they bring in Kleber as of late, who on small ball looks. Josh Green and Tim Hardaway come in for the wings. Not as much Dante Exum, but they have Dante Exum, who's a great defender who can lock up people. So the whole thing is what I'm talking about with this PJ Washington look is the look that they can run is basically what they do is they put PJ Washington at center, and then they put Maxi Kleber at power forward, Derek Jones Jr. or Josh Green at the small forward spot, and then they run Luka Dončić and Kyrie, and sometimes they'll take off Kyrie or Luka and just run one of them at the point guard spot, and then have Derek Jones Jr., Josh Green, Kleber, and PJ Washington on the floor. And I don't know how that lineup right there in the playoffs right there, what that would do is you have a lineup right there where you're going to have basically 5 dudes on the floor who each are shooting around or over league average at 3-point percentage in the playoffs, except Luka, who's shooting 30%, but he's taking 9.5 threes. And it would cause the Timberwolves to have to probably take Gobert and Cat off the floor and put Naz Reid, Kyle Anderson on the floor. And the idea is by having PJ Washington, Kleber, Josh Green, Derek Jones Jr. on the floor, that combination with either Kyrie or Luka, or, is you have all this length and versatility that they won't be able to, keep up with. And if you think about it that way, that's something that's going to be huge for them. This is a team that in the playoffs has been putting up about 35 threes a night. And if you look at the Timberwolves, who they themselves in the playoffs have been a team that, they've been shooting, obviously fantastic in their own right, but they're only putting up 32 threes a night, but they're allowing, only 28. So the whole thing is the Mavs could really outshoot the Timberwolves and keep themselves in the game by shooting 3-pointers, which would be probably one of their most advantageous looks. So for me, I really think when you just kind of look at the Mavericks, they have that look, or they can go out there. I know I don't think they ever really played Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford together, because I wouldn't be one to do that. But they, besides that small ball look, they can also match up pretty well against Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns. Let me explain how. So basically the lineups that they primarily run are Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Derek Jones Jr., Kyrie, Luka. So the thought is Luka's probably going to be on. You probably want to put Luka on Jaden McDaniels on offense. Kyrie probably goes on Mr. Mike Conley. Throw either Derek Jones. Yeah, Derek Jones on Anthony Edwards. PJ then guards probably Karl-Anthony Towns and Daniels on Rudy Gobert. And then the other lineups they've been running is obviously PJ Washington, Josh Green, Kyrie, Luka Dončić, Derek Lively. Similar thought process there, and as well as Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Josh Green. The other lineup that I told you, the small ball one that they occasionally run is the Kleba, Derek Jones, Josh Green, Kyrie Irving, Luka Dončić, which is something that they've had, success so far running as PJ Washington so far has, if we want to actually be real about it, he hasn't been someone that's really played much center. And I know that they haven't really ran PJ Washington at the 5 since he's came over here. He's only ran, I believe, in the regular season, he ran about, I think it was 28 possessions. But if you look at his numbers with the Hornets, they ran him, I think, 900 possessions at the 5 this season before they traded him. So he has experience there. So who do I think will win this? It's hard because I sit here and it's hard to go against Hall of Famers. But the Timberwolves have all this momentum and they're so deep. Because for me, the thing that scared me, all right, right here, when we look at the Mavs, what advantage do they have? The Mavs right here, if you look at this team, this is a team that in the playoffs so far, they have, as I told you guys, the T-Wolves have, 6 double-digit guys or 5 double-digit guys and one with a 30-point. The Mavs have 27 points a night from Kyrie. 27 from Luka, 21 from Kyrie, 14 from PJ Washington, about 11 from Derek Jones, about 9 from Gafford, and 8 from Lively. Tim Hardaway Jr., who's supposed to be their microwave off the bench, is average 6 points. Cleveland gives you 6. Josh Green gives you 5. And it's not like the Mavs are this defensive juggernaut that they can stop teams from scoring. All right? And I know they did a fantastic job against the Thunder, but the Thunder were a young team. And I understand people are going to be like, well, Edwards and, this team is young. It's just not young in the same way that the Thunder were. And this is a T-Wolf squad that has 6 double-digit scorers in the regular season, and it's carried over to having 6 double-digit scores in the postseason, with one of those guys being basically a 30-point per game scorer. And again, it's so hard to choose against 2 Hall of Famers who are in the prime of their careers. And one of them is one of the clutchest players who's a championship. I really do think this is a 7-game series. At very least, it's a 6-game series. I have to go with Minnesota just because of how deep they are. They can match any counter adjustment that the Mavericks are going to throw at them. Unless Jason Kidd outcoaches and Anthony Edwards outshoots and outscores, not Anthony Edwards, Luka Dončić and Kyrie. Jason Kidd and Luka Dončić and Kyrie basically put on a master class showing, Hall of Fame performances for 4 wins in a 7-game series, then they would win it. But you have Anthony Edwards, who's literally playing crazy, which I've been saying that I think the way he's playing, he's arrived fully. We've been waiting for him to fully arrive all season, but he fully arrived in the playoffs, and this can carry over where he's probably MVP next year. So, yeah, I can't choose anyone but the Timberwolves, probably in 7 games, at the very least 6 games. But I'm not counting out Kyrie and Luka from doing what seems like a very tall task and achieving it, because that's what they've done. I've said all year that this Dallas Mavericks team reminds me of that Dallas Mavericks team from 2011 that went on to win a championship over the Miami Heat, which again seemed like it was not possible. And they've done that all year. That's it. I'm done. I'm ranting. Hope you guys did enjoy. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff.